Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Hat 2021. I'm your host, Chuck Harold, SecurityGuyTV.com. Our next guest, Mr. Craig Goodwin. He's the co-founder and chief strategy officer for Cyvatar.ai. Mr. Craig, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Chuck. How you doing?
Good. Now, we have an interesting topic today. Don't be held for ransomware. I love the title. It's very clever. And it's so true. There's so many things going on with ransomware. It's driving me nutty. There was just that big case in San Diego, one of the hospitals. He was told not to pay. Didn't work out too well. Do you pay? Do you not pay? I just can't keep up with it. Let's start by telling me, what are the root causes of this huge explosion? I know COVID's part of it, but there's got to be more to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's business and money driven, Chuck, right? It's become commoditized. It's just super easy for even laymen that are out on the internet that want to earn a quick buck to use ransomware to extort money and make money. It's crazy. They've found a way of making money from this stuff and built businesses around it. So why would you not do that when there's the opportunity to do it? And then on the other end of that, businesses aren't doing the basics, which means that they're susceptible to it. And you quite rightly said, COVID, the way that the digital economy has changed, the way that remote working has changed, means that it's a bit of a perfect storm or an imperfect storm. All these things coming together to just make ransomware more prevalent, more effective, and just a danger to everyone and every business.
Well, I hear you. I'm a former police officer, and this beats the heck out of robbing a 7-Eleven. I mean, you can sit at home, make $100,000 a year, and probably not get caught. So it's very enticing to people to do this. Is it a good idea to pay ransomware? From a business decision point of view, I would just pay it, move on to the next thing. But that's when criminals were honest. I know that sounds weird, right? But they used to honor their commitment to restore you. And now I'm hearing that's not really happening as much as it used to. They might go to level 2 or 3 of ransomware to keep getting more money out of you. What's going on with that? Should we pay?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think, it has to be a business decision. There are cases, absolutely, where payment makes sense. You do that risk-based calculation, you do that business calculation, and you make a decision based on what it is and the unfortunate situation that you found yourself in. One of the most interesting things that I used to do when I was a CISO was have board-level exercises around ransomware. And most boards, most executive teams go in thinking that they're all on the same page, right? They would all agree in a situation where ransomware had hit. But if you go and do that with real boards and executive teams, you find that that's just not the case. Everyone has a different opinion. You might have one executive on one end of the table saying, we don't negotiate with terrorists, we'll never pay a ransom. Whereas another executive on the other end of the room, to your point, will just say, you know what? It makes the pain go away. Let's just get it done. Let's trust them. So, yeah, I mean, there's 10 different answers in 10 different scenarios, quite frankly, and it's down to the business. I think the most important thing has to be resiliency and practicing tabletop exercises, building in those kind of resiliency and exercises so that when the time comes, if the time comes, you know how to respond to it and you know how to react to it. But it's difficult to say up front, do or do not.
Well, that's fair. That's fair comment. I think from a legal point of view, eventually, and I'm not a lawyer and I have not played one on TV yet, but if I'm a CEO and I know somebody's going to hack us and I do nothing about it, I could be kind of liable for that, letting it happen. If my data has been compromised already and I'm told I can fix it by paying and I don't pay, this may change the whole legal ramifications of liability for corporations and CEOs. It's very, very tricky. Now, this brings me to my next point. Please tell us, what can we do to protect ourselves against these attacks? Resiliency is the place to be, but how do you get there? Talk to us about this.
Yeah, well, look, I've been a huge believer throughout my career, Chuck, in building the basics, and this stuff doesn't have to be rocket science. Like many careers, I think the security industry has built this, reputation for smoke and mirrors, this reputation for being some kind of dark art that only a really experienced CISO can help you with. But the reality is quite different. You can never fix anything 100%, but there are some basic things that any business can do that really do increase the odds of you either not getting ransomware in the first place, or when you do, being able to recover from it. And those things are, advanced endpoint protection, using a good endpoint protection solution on your laptops, on your devices. You mentioned everyone's remote now, which makes it even more important. Gone are the days where we had the traditional proxies and firewalls and everything had a castle built around it and we could control it all. Everyone's sat at home, everyone's remote. So that makes that endpoint protection solutions even more prevalent. And then, threat and vulnerability management, making sure you're scanning stuff, making sure you're patching things, making sure things are up to date. IT asset management, knowing what you've got and where you've got it. Not just ransomware, but in the majority of hacks over the last few years, they've come from IT systems or applications that the business just didn't know it had. I sit in CISO meetings and have done for 18 years throughout my career. And even in the most mature organizations, security people roll their eyes, and kind of move on really, really swiftly when you talk about IT asset management. Because no one knows what they've got or where they've got it. And it's a basic building block. There are other things, multi-factor authentication, just turn it on everywhere. Vendors, now have got it in their minds, and it's a real differentiator for some of these vendors to have the ability to enable MFA on cloud accounts, on SaaS software. It's there to use, so use it. So I would say there's some of the first steps, some of the basic steps that pretty much anyone can take to kind of try and combat some of those threats.
Craig Goodwin, he's the co-founder and chief strategy officer. Love that title. That is something we need way more of in the cyber war here, strategy. Thanks so much for coming on Black Hat 2021, my friend at SecurityGuyTV. It's cyvatar.ai. Remember, CYVATAR.ai for my podcast listeners. Mr. Craig, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Chuck. It's a pleasure.